There's a reason this found you right now. You didn't stumble here by scrolling. You were summoned. Because something in your frequency just synced with a pulse that's been waiting to reach you. Every moment, the field around you is beating, not as sound, but as rhythm. A living pulse of possibility, expanding and contracting like a heart that belongs to everything. Most people never feel it. They're lost in static, rushing through timelines, convinced that life is random. But the truth is quieter, and it's right here beneath your skin. You've felt it before. That strange coincidence, the message that arrived at the perfect second, the instant peace before something miraculous unfolded. That's not luck. That's resonance. The quantum field doesn't speak in words. It mirrors vibration. When your inner rhythm starts to match its beat, it responds. And when it does, life rearranges itself to reflect you. So if you're seeing this, the field is already moving. It's you that's pulsing through this message, a signal returning to its source. I need you to understand. This isn't about belief. It's about biology, coherence, attention. The moment your awareness locks onto the rhythm behind reality, you begin to alter the pattern. Because the observer doesn't just witness the pulse, it joins it. In the next few minutes, I'll show you what that means. Why you sometimes feel disconnected even when you're doing the work. And how to resync with the pulse that's been calling you back. Not through effort, but through remembrance. Because the field doesn't chase, it waits. And right now, it's beating in your name. Let's pull the curtain back. What's actually happening when we say, the field is responding? Think of it like this. Everything in existence, from your thoughts to the atoms in the air, vibrates in rhythmic waves. But these waves don't move in isolation. They form patterns like the synchronized heartbeat of a vast living organism. That organism is what mystics call the quantum field, and what physics recognizes as the 0-point sea of potential. You are not separate from that sea. You are one pulse within it. Your heartbeat isn't just a biological event. It's a broadcasting device. Each emotion, each breath, sends ripples into the field, signaling where your consciousness currently stands. Most people don't realize this. They keep forcing outcomes with logic or anxiety, never noticing how erratic their internal rhythm has become. Their heart and brain are out of sync, one beating to fear, the other to control. And when those rhythms clash, the field can't find a steady pattern to mirror. It's like trying to dance with someone who keeps changing the tempo, but coherence changes everything. When your internal pulse stabilizes, when your breath, heart, and focus align, your signal sharpens. The field, which has been patiently listening, instantly locks onto it, like two hearts finding the same rhythm. That's when synchronicities spike, opportunities appear, and miracles seem to unfold. Notice how sometimes, after a moment of surrender, a deep exhale, a single tear, reality softens around you. That's the field adjusting its beat to yours. The mechanism is resonance, not reward. You don't have to earn alignment, you simply match it. And that's what's happening right now. You and I are not two separate people communicating through a screen. We're two nodes of the same rhythm meeting at a shared frequency point. The field made sure our timelines brushed because your inner pulse started echoing louder. Still, there's a myth that keeps so many from stabilizing this connection. A misunderstanding that scrambles the signal every time they get close. You've probably felt it too. That moment when coherence slips through your fingers and you think you've lost your alignment. Let's go straight into it. Because this single myth, quiet but corrosive, is the reason most people never stay in sync long enough for the field to rewrite their life. Here's the myth that keeps almost everyone trapped. That alignment is something you achieve. They treat coherence like a prize, something to win after enough affirmations, meditations, visualizations. But that's the misunderstanding. Alignment isn't a performance. It's a return. The field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to rhythm. You can't force a heartbeat into harmony. You can only relax into it. And this is where the paradox breaks most people. They think their tension will make the universe notice them, when in truth, tension scrambles the signal. The harder they try to stay high vibe, the more their pulse fractures into noise. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. You send a message, something honest, something from the heart, and hours pass with no reply. Your chest tightens, your thoughts spiral. Suddenly your entire system is racing. Did I say the wrong thing? Am I being ignored? That pulse of panic, that rush of cortisol, sends a clear signal to the field. I am unsafe. I am separate. So what does the field do? It mirrors it. Reality delays, mirrors the static, shows you more absence. Because it's not punishing you. It's syncing with your beat. But then, something changes. You catch yourself mid-spin. Take one long, conscious breath. You feel your heartbeat again, not as panic, but as presence. You don't push away the discomfort. You stay with it. And within seconds, that field, which had been mirroring chaos, softens. A calm enters the space. Maybe the message finally arrives, or maybe it doesn't matter anymore, because you're back in rhythm with something infinitely larger. That's how fast the field can respond. When you stop broadcasting distress and start embodying coherence. So alignment isn't something you find out there. It's the art of returning to the pulse underneath the noise. And once you feel that, truly feel it, you begin to see how instant the feedback is. Every breath becomes a message. Every pause a reply. But here's the part most people never realize. Your body isn't just receiving the pulse, it's modulating it. The bridge between the seen and unseen isn't some abstract concept. It's built through your nervous system. And the moment you learn to regulate that inner rhythm, you gain access to the deeper layers of response the field's been waiting to deliver. Let's go deeper into the body, the true instrument of manifestation. Your nervous system is not just a set of wires firing signals. It's your tuning chamber. Every cell, every neural impulse participates in translating vibration into chemistry, emotion, and perception. When your nervous system feels unsafe, your pulse fragments. The rhythm of creation, that subtle heartbeat of the field, can't lock onto a moving signal. Think of the last time your stomach tightened before checking your bank account, or your chest clenched before opening a message you were scared to read. In those moments, your body wasn't against you. It was protecting you. But protection and creation can't coexist in the same instant. One freezes, the other flows. This is why emotional safety is not just self-care, it's quantum calibration. You can't stabilize a coherent field while your system is bracing for impact. The field mirrors the vibration of the breather, not the thinker. Here's a 45-second micro-practice to reset your pulse right now. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart, one on your lower belly. Inhale slowly through the nose for 4 counts, feeling the rise under both hands. Hold for 2. Exhale softly through the mouth for 6, like fogging glass. As you exhale, imagine the edges of your body melting into the space around you. Do this 3 times. Nothing dramatic, just rhythm. By the 3rd breath, your heart rate will subtly shift, your vagus nerve will relax, and your field will start syncing again. Notice something. Your awareness expands as your body calms. This is not coincidence. Coherence is a biological event first, mystical second. The field doesn't open because you believe harder. It opens because your inner pulse becomes stable enough to carry its frequency. When your nervous system feels safe, the universe reads that as readiness. It says, they can hold more signal now. And that's when opportunities, ideas, and synchronicities flood in, not as random blessings, but as rhythmic responses to your coherence. Most people chase alignment in their minds while their bodies remain in defense. That's why their manifestations flicker in and out. They're broadcasting 2 conflicting beats, one that says, I want expansion, another that says, I'm not safe expanding. The field doesn't choose between them. It mirrors both, resulting in chaos. So from now on, coherence is your new language. Safety is not slowness, it's signal clarity. And as you embody this truth, something profound begins to happen. You stop confusing temporary emotional states with your actual frequency. You begin to sense the deeper pulse of identity beneath them, the constant rhythm that never leaves, even when the surface waves crash. Let's make a crucial distinction, the one that separates fleeting calm from lasting transformation. Your state and your identity are not the same. A state is like a temporary rhythm. Joy, doubt, peace, frustration. It rises and fades like waves around a deeper current. But your identity, who you believe yourself to be at the quantum level, is the steady beat beneath all those fluctuations. Here's where most people lose coherence. They confuse their momentary feelings with their fundamental signal. They say, I'm out of alignment, when what's really happening is a passing state, a momentary dissonance in the rhythm. The field doesn't judge those fluctuations. It simply mirrors the strongest beat, and that beat always originates from identity. So if your self-image is still wired around lack, effort, or unworthiness, no matter how many meditations you do, the field tunes to that underlying frequency. You might enter high states for minutes, even hours, but the pulse eventually snaps back to the rhythm you call me. Let's be precise. Your state influences your signal. Your identity anchors it. Imagine your inner world like a drum circle. Your temporary emotions are drummers joining and leaving, each with their rhythm. But the core identity, the one sitting in the center, sets the tempo. If that drummer is still playing the old beat of fear or separation, the entire circle will eventually follow. The shift happens when you start identifying not as the one seeking alignment, but as the one who is the pulse itself. When your I am expands beyond the story of the moment, coherence becomes natural. So when you feel yourself slipping, angry, tired, impatient, don't rush to fix it. Pause. Ask, who is the one feeling this? The moment you observe, you detach from the state and return to the observer rhythm, the identity behind the noise. The field recognizes that observer as the stable signal. It doesn't care about your transient moods. It listens for the pulse that repeats longest, and that's the turning point. Because when your identity begins to stabilize around coherence, not perfection, but presence, your external reality starts bending toward it automatically. The field rearranges to match who you believe you already are. But that opens the next question, the one that changes everything. If identity is what anchors the rhythm, what happens when you shift that identity altogether? When you realize your sense of self isn't fixed, but a selector between entire timelines pulsing all at once, here's where the pulse becomes multidimensional. Every version of you that could exist, the confident one, the abundant one, the healed one, is already beating in parallel. Each has its own pulse signature, vibrating in the same universal rhythm, but at slightly different speeds. Those differences create what we call timelines. You're not trying to create your future. You're tuning your current heartbeat to the pulse of the version who's already living it. Let's picture it. Imagine you're standing in a hall full of heartbeats, each one representing a possible life. Some are faint, trembling with uncertainty. Others are strong, steady, magnetic. The quantum field holds them all, waiting for your awareness to settle on one. The moment you emotionally embody that pulse, not by pretending but by feeling its rhythm inside your body, you step into that timeline. And yes, it's that simple. Not easy, but simple. I'll give you an example. There was a moment when I was facing a creative block. Nothing flowed. Every idea felt flat. My pulse was erratic, my nervous system in overdrive. Then I asked, what would the version of me who's already flowing feel like right now? The answer wasn't about thinking better thoughts. It was about breathing slower, loosening my shoulders, letting my heart beat steady. Within minutes, I could feel it. That alternate rhythm sinking in. Ideas began to land again, perfectly timed. That's timeline shifting in real time. You don't leap, you sync. You let your present rhythm merge with the frequency of the future you. When your body becomes fluent in that pulse, life starts responding almost instantly. You'll notice small bridges forming. Someone you hadn't heard from reaches out, a forgotten opportunity resurfaces, a solution reveals itself mid-walk. These aren't coincidences. They're the field adjusting its tempo to your new rhythm. But there's something deeper here, something that separates those who glimpse this truth from those who live it. Most people can align for moments, a meditation, a breakthrough, a rush of clarity, but then they lose it because they have no protocol to anchor the pulse daily. The field listens for consistency, not intensity. So how do you stay tuned to the pulse of your chosen timeline? Not as an abstract idea, but as a lived frequency in your body, day after day. That's what we'll build next, a tangible toolkit to anchor this rhythm into your nervous system, your breath, your choices, your reality. Let's make this practical, because knowing the pulse exists means nothing unless you can live inside it. Think of this next part as a recalibration ritual. Simple actions that teach your body what alignment actually feels like. When you repeat them, your nervous system begins to memorize coherence the way a musician memorizes rhythm. The field then recognizes that steadiness and begins amplifying it. Tool 1. The grounded pulse. At least once a day, pause whatever you're doing and feel the soles of your feet. Press them gently into the floor and imagine the earth's heartbeat rising to meet yours. Don't visualize. Listen. There's a subtle thump, almost imperceptible, that begins to echo through your legs. This anchors your signal. You're reminding the field, I'm here. I'm stable enough to receive. Tool 2. The breath bridge. 4-count inhale through the nose, 6-count exhale through the mouth. On the exhale, whisper internally, I'm sinking. Do this 3 times before opening messages, starting work, or speaking about something important. You're teaching your body to respond from coherence, not reaction. Tool 3. The quantum handshake. Before making a decision, place a hand on your heart and ask, Which pulse feels truer, contraction or expansion? If your body softens, that's resonance. If it tightens, the timing's off. The field communicates through sensation, not logic. Following softness builds trust between your biology and the unseen rhythm. Tool 4. The frequency lock. Each night as you lie in bed, recall one moment from the day when you felt connected. A second of laughter, a breath of calm, a glimpse of gratitude. Replay that scene slowly and match your breathing to how your body felt then. Fall asleep inside that rhythm. Overnight, your subconscious stabilizes that beat as your new baseline. These 4 tools don't just keep you calm, they teach your system to remember the pulse. And now, let's make it communal. Right here, as you listen, let's anchor this together. Comment below with, "My pulse and the field are one." It's not just words, it's a declaration, a synchronization point. When many hearts type it, the digital space itself begins to hum with coherence. The field listens through us. Use these practices as your daily metronome. Within days, you'll notice that the world moves differently. Not faster, not slower, just in rhythm with you. But coherence also exposes what was hidden. Once your pulse steadies, anything dissonant, habits, relationships, beliefs, starts to reveal itself. And that's where most people sabotage the shift without realizing it. Now that your pulse is stabilizing, the field begins to test the strength of your rhythm. Not to punish you, to refine your signal. Because once you start broadcasting coherence, anything that doesn't match that frequency rises to the surface. This is where most people mistake purification for failure. There are 3 main traps that quietly pull you out of sync: urgency, split signals, and over-control. Urgency is the first. It sneaks in dressed as passion but beats like panic. It whispers, "If I don't act now, I'll lose my chance." But urgency comes from the old rhythm, the one built on scarcity and survival. When you move from that pulse, your body tenses, your field contracts, and the signal distorts. Nothing flows because the field reads your rush as mistrust. When that urgency rises, do the opposite of what you think you should. Pause. Slow your breath until your chest softens again. The paradox? The moment you stop chasing the beat, the field rushes to meet you. The second trap is split signals, wanting one reality while unconsciously resonating with another. You say, "I'm ready for love," but your nervous system still braces for rejection. You affirm abundance, but secretly expect the bill to arrive. The field doesn't judge intentions, it mirrors coherence. A split signal is like trying to dance to 2 tempos at once, exhausting and confusing. The fix isn't to think positive, it's to notice which rhythm your body is actually following and bring it back to harmony with your words. And then comes over-control, the quietest sabotage of all. The need to micromanage outcomes, to track signs, to measure if the field is working. Every time you do that, you pull yourself back into the mind's tempo. The heart's rhythm, the one the field responds to, is slower, rounder, patient. The more you grip, the more the pulse slips away. Remember, control is contraction. Coherence is surrender. So when these tests appear, the delay, the silence, the uncertainty, they're not signs of disconnection. They're invitations. The field is asking, can you keep your rhythm even when the music changes? And when you do, when you stay steady in the middle of the unknown, something extraordinary happens. Your daily reality begins to reorganize itself around that steadiness. The beat of your choices, your speech, your smallest gestures all start broadcasting the same tone. And that's where we move next. How to embed this pulse so deeply into ordinary life that every step, meal, and conversation becomes a broadcast of coherence itself. Integration isn't about adding rituals. It's about turning your entire day into a rhythmic conversation with the field. The goal isn't to stay high vibe. It's to stay aware of the beat beneath everything you do. When you wake up before touching your phone, pause and listen. You'll notice your heartbeat already waiting for you. Slow, steady, ancient. That's your cue to sync before the world's noise rushes in. 3 slow breaths, 1 soft thought. I'm already in rhythm. That single moment sets your frequency for the day more than any mantra can. As you move through the hours, coherence hides in ordinary actions. When you walk, let each step land like a drum. Heel, breath, exhale. When you eat, taste consciously. Every bite, every sip is a chance to tell the field, I'm receiving nourishment easily. When you speak, match your words to your pulse. Notice how conversations change when you slow your tone by even a few beats. People start mirroring your rhythm without realizing it. Coherence is contagious. The field isn't watching for your spiritual moments. It's reading the rhythm of your life. When your nervous system remains steady through the small things, you become magnetic in the big ones. You no longer have to manifest. Reality begins to pulse with you. There will be days when your rhythm feels off, when anxiety spikes, the call doesn't come, the plan shifts suddenly. Don't panic. Just return to pulse awareness. Place a hand on your heart. Feel the rhythm that's still there. The field doesn't abandon you. It simply waits for you to match tempo again. Here's the quiet miracle. As you live like this, time itself begins to respond differently. Hours stretch, coincidences multiply, people show up exactly when you think of them. Because your perception is no longer fragmented. It's synchronized. You're not reacting to life, you're co-beating with it. This is daily mastery, walking as the rhythm itself. No effort, no proof, just pulse. But there's one more leap. Coherence in the self is powerful, but coherence extended into purpose, into relationships, creativity, health, and calling. That's when your entire timeline starts to expand outward. The field doesn't just mirror you anymore, it starts creating through you. And that's where we go next, into the expansion phase, where your stable pulse begins influencing every domain of your reality, drawing new harmonies around you like constellations responding to a single beat. When your inner pulse steadies long enough, the field begins to extend your rhythm outward. What once felt like personal alignment becomes environmental. Everything around you starts to sync. It's subtle at first, then undeniable. In relationships, it shows up as flow. Conversations deepen without effort. Silence feels safe. Misunderstandings dissolve quicker. The reason? Coherence radiates safety. When your pulse holds steady, it gives others permission to relax their own. You stop trying to be understood and instead become felt. The field responds by placing people in your path who match that rhythm, not to test you, but to play alongside you. In creativity, coherence translates as clarity. Ideas arrive not as random bursts, but as streams, perfectly timed. The same universal heartbeat that guides the tides begins guiding your expression. You'll notice it in the smallest details. The right words appearing mid-sentence, melodies surfacing whole, color palettes aligning themselves. You're no longer producing, you're pulsing art into form. Then there's health, the most intimate mirror of rhythm. When your nervous system holds coherence, your cells literally receive clearer information. Stress hormones drop, inflammation lowers, sleep deepens. The body stops defending and starts harmonizing. It's not magic, it's resonance. Biology following vibration. And finally, purpose. This is where everything converges. Purpose isn't a career. It's the outer name for your inner pulse. When you stabilize your rhythm, the field orchestrates circumstances that demand its expression. You'll find yourself drawn to people, projects, and paths that amplify your coherence. You won't have to figure it out. Your body will know. The right direction feels like a familiar song. Let me give you a real-life snapshot. You're sitting in a cafe, minding your own energy. Someone nearby starts speaking about an idea that feels like it was written in your own frequency. That's not coincidence. It's synchronization. Two pulses found each other in the field and arranged a meeting through matter. That's how destiny really works. It's rhythmic math, not random chance. And the more consistently you live from your pulse, the larger the field's response becomes. Your influence expands, not as domination, but as entrainment. Coherence draws coherence. But this expansion also stirs something deeper, a recognition that your rhythm has always been part of something divine, something orchestrated far beyond personal intention. Because once you reach this level of resonance, the question changes. It's no longer, how do I manifest? It becomes, who or what is truly moving through me when I pulse? And that's where we're heading next, into the spiritual dimension of this rhythm, where surrender and power become the same heartbeat. By now, you've felt it. The unmistakable sense that the pulse isn't yours alone. It moves through you, but it also moves as you. This is the paradox at the heart of spiritual coherence. The moment you realize you are both the signal and the receiver. You see, the universal pulse doesn't originate in your body. It passes through your awareness like a river remembering its source. When you align with it, you're not bending reality to your will. You're remembering the part of you that never left the flow in the first place. That's what surrender really means. Not defeat, not passivity, but returning agency to the rhythm that knows more than your mind ever could. The pulse is the intelligence of creation itself, what ancient mystics called logos, breath, spirit. It's been beating long before your first inhale, and it will continue long after your last exhale. When you live in coherence, you start feeling guided, not in superstition, but in synchronicity. A phrase you needed appears on a billboard. The song that plays next answers your question. You think of someone, and they message within minutes. This isn't magic. It's mathematics of vibration. Your awareness has merged with the organizing intelligence of the field, and it now speaks your language fluently. This is why forcing or chasing doesn't work. The smaller self wants control. The pulse wants communion. When you release control, you don't lose power. You become power. Because what you call you dissolves into the intelligence that moves galaxies and hearts alike. Let's be clear. Surrender doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing only what matches the rhythm. It means waiting until your body says yes, until your pulse quickens, not from fear, but from recognition. Every inspired action you take from that state carries the entire field behind it. That's why things start unfolding effortlessly. Not because you became lucky, but because you stopped swimming upstream against your own divine tempo. And the deeper truth? The field has always been alive in you. Every heartbeat you've ever had was an echo of the universe remembering itself. So the spiritual path isn't upward. It's inward, toward the rhythm that never stopped calling your name. The moment you finally let yourself be moved by it, life stops being something you manage and becomes something you conduct. But there's one final step, the full circle, to bring everything you've learned back home into a single pulse that unites awareness, body, and destiny. To close the loop with the same heartbeat that opened this message. Take a breath, feel it, the pulse beneath your hand. That rhythm isn't just keeping you alive, it's keeping the entire field in sync with you. From the moment you pressed play, the field has been responding, not to your words, but to your vibration, to the quiet signal pulsing from your chest. Everything you've remembered here was never new. It was coded into your heartbeat long before you knew the language for it. The pulse is how the universe whispers, yes. It's how the infinite tells you, you're exactly where you're meant to be. And when you trust that beat, even when you can't see what's next, you collapse the distance between the life you imagine and the one you're already living. This is the secret most people miss. Manifestation isn't about control. It's about coherence. It's not about convincing the field to deliver something. It's about realizing you are the rhythm it's already following. Every choice from here is a note in the same song. Every breath is a declaration, I'm in sync. And the more you live like that, walking, speaking, resting from the pulse instead of against it, the more the field arranges itself into harmony around you. So pause for a moment. Feel the silence after your exhale. That's where creation listens. That's where timelines fold into one steady beat, the one that carries your name. If this message found you now, it's because your pulse was ready to remember. The field heard it first and brought you here to confirm what you already sensed. You've never been out of rhythm. You just forgot to listen. And now you do. Before you leave this space, anchor it in the visible world. Write in the comments, my pulse and the field are one. Let the field register your declaration, not as a wish, but as recognition. Because it's true. You're not manifesting anymore. You're beating. And the field is keeping time with you.